All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Tammy. Did a wonderful job.
Great job.
We got Corey Elliott coming up next. I'm Darren. He's Clarence. Apparently, we've got some chatter on the text line that people don't really feel like your name is really Speed.
It's really Speed.
Okay.
And I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I was way too young to argue when I was given the name, but it is indeed my name, which is why I named my son Brian. So yeah, it's it. But if you could come up with a better one, I am all about it.
I'm kind of liking Clarence. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so we got Corey Elliott coming up with Burrell and Associates, and Corey, hey, good to see you.
Good to see you guys. How you doing?
Yeah,
we're doing well. Doing very well.
So glad to have you with us. And Speed, I'll kind of let you got a little background. Give us a little tell the Corey story. And
well, first of all, is Corey your real name?
So yes, believe it or not.
Wow.
But you know what?
Awesome.
You know what? My middle name. You know what my middle name is?
I do not.
Speed.
E.
Corey.
Just E. Corey E.
Really?
Elliott. Yep.
Nice.
Wow. I just finished reading Harry S. Truman, a biography.
Yep.
His middle name was S.
Yep.
So
Me and Harry.
That's unbelievable. So anyway, I have been just a huge fan of Burrell and Associates and the research you folks have done specific for our industry forever. And I was looking at a lot of your material. I was talking to a general manager of one of the stations that I work with, and I was talking about Gordon. They said, "Have you seen Corey?" And I said, "Corey, oh, you got to watch this."
Corey.
He is, he
Corey.
is amazing. You know, he's the shaman of marketing. And I said, all right. And I became hooked. I love it. I binge watch. And again, shameless plug time. We are very happy to have you as part of the 10-Minute Trainer Network. So you're going to get a good head start, folks, of meeting Corey today. If you haven't already done that, he takes challenging topics, sometimes boring topics, and makes them fun and very understandable. So we look forward to hearing from you today.
Great. Good. I'm glad to be here. And I think you guys coined the term. Is it edutainment?
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Yeah. Edutainment, entertainment. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that approach. And I have to do it to keep me interested. So that's why.
Likewise.
Understood.
Well, love your topic today. We'll get out of the way. Let you take it away. We'll come back for some Q&A after you're finished. Okay.
Great.
All right. Take it away, Corey.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks. And let's make sure. There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. As you know, my name is Corey E. Elliott. I'm glad to be here. What we're going to talk to about today is the voice of the advertisers. And I'll give you a little background on what all that means. But warning, there are a lot of slides here. You can get them afterwards. We'll figure out how to get them to you. That's not a problem. But we're going to go fast because there's a lot to get through, and I think it wakes people up when you go pretty fast. So here we go. I'm going to make sure I can click. There we go. If you don't know who Burrell Associates are, we are a local research firm that collects, analyzes, models, and projects local ad spending data. That's our gig. We've helped out media companies across the nation understand their own backyard, where ad dollars are flowing to, and marketing dollars, who's going up, who's going down, where are local advertisers investing, and where they're going to invest in the future. We do conferences, we do papers, we do all that stuff. And in doing that, we have our ear to the ground when it comes to local advertisers or local businesses, and we get to understand where they're coming from and what's on their mind. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Before we get into it, where all this information comes from? It comes from a variety of sources. We have an annual survey that we do every year through our media partners, talking to local advertisers and local businesses. The thousands of local businesses answer this survey. We've now bumped it up to twice a year, so I'm excited about that. We also create an SMB panel out of that, and a smaller group of 700 local businesses that agree to answer a monthly panel. And so we ask them a variety of topics there. We did a 2022 content marketing study that I've pulled a couple things from, so I'll let you know. Compass data, that's our database of local ad spend dollars. We're going to, later in the presentation, we're going to talk about what media is coming up, what media is going down as far as ad spending goes. And then there's other third-party sources here too. So we look at everything. We try and include everything to educate people about what's going on. So without further ado, here's how we're going to set up today. We're going to talk about the past, we're going to talk about the present, and we're going to talk about the future when it comes to local advertisers. So we're not talking about media companies. We're not going to talk about any of that or what's going inside the doors of the local TV station or newspaper, or what have you. This is from the viewpoint of the local advertiser and what they're telling us and what they may or may not be telling you. All right, so we're going to start with the past, because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we just came out of a pandemic, right? And so that's changed the local marketing landscape and the local advertiser landscape. But you got to kind of appreciate where things have gone and what has happened in the last 3 years, because it really affects where their heads are at now and what they think about in the future. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here I'm going to show you a series of slides that look like this. This is going to be the longest one because I got to set it up. What you're looking at is monthly retail sales trended for 16 through 19. Through the US, I took out auto. We'll get to that later. You can see a natural trend happening for the past 4 years, right? Pretty obvious. Well, guess what happens when 2020 rolls in? You had this big dip in April of 2020, and then it tried to course correct itself to get back on trend. But then 2021 happened, and you have this amazing spike that happened in Q1 of 2021 as far as retail sales go. Lots of reasons for that. Some people like to cite inflation. That's true. There's consumer, just how we're spending and why we're spending money on what we're spending on and how we're spending it. That changed. And so now the latest data we have is this dotted line. That's 2022. So it's even better than 2021 and certainly better than those previous years in overall retail sales. First clue. Now, every kind of business is different. They all have different trends. Look at hardware stores that took they had a great 2020 because everybody had do-it-yourself or at home projects, right? We were all going to Home Depot or Lowe's and buying stuff because we had to fix up the office that we were zooming from. Makes sense. But look how it's starting to make its own trend much higher than what was in previous years. And so it goes with, and again, you'll get all these slides so you can spend as much time in it as you want. Department stores, God bless them, they keep going down every year. They were hit hard in 2020, trying to get back to where they were before, and they're doing a pretty good job at it. Unfortunately, it's down every year. Here's pharmacies. Pharmacies took a big spike at the beginning, remained above every year since then. Electronic stores, they're pretty much back on trend where they should be. They took a dip in 2020 and had an okay 21. Their 22 isn't as strong. I have a couple more here. I thought this well, I used to show this without showing what the segment was or what the business segment was, because I was trying to quiz people what category would just take off in 2020 and never look back. And liquor stores. So shows you where our priorities are. Here is, I know everybody's interested in car dealers. Here's what's happening in the car dealer scene as far as new car dealers. Took a big dip in 2020, but man, 2021, it's almost a mirror image of what 2020 was. And then 2022 ain't bad either. And the same goes for used car dealers. So they're above where they were several years ago. They're all this to say, so many different businesses out there are setting new trends. And so everybody's different, but that's one thing that is changing the way these local guys look at the world and look at marketing and look at how they're spending their advertising dollars. You got to appreciate the money that's being made out there. There we go. So something else happened in the last couple of years that's very significant and something that everybody should be paying attention to. And we found it, I don't want to say by accident, but what we do is for our company, for Burrell, we get feeds from D&B, Dun & Bradstreet. They give us the total number of businesses by different size categories. That's how we start to do our modeling and things like that. We noticed something when we stopped looking at 20 and 21 and we compared numbers from 2019, the last normal year, to 2022. And something amazing happened. We thought, this is odd. There was this huge increase in very small businesses. And that's what you're seeing here. 14.5 more. So I'm looking at 2019 in light blue, dark blue is 2022. This huge jump in very small businesses. I'm like, well, that's odd. What's going on there? Because the number of employees didn't really change, just the number of businesses. And I know there's a lot to look at in this chart. Just stick with me here for a second. What this is showing you is the percentage change of both locations and employees. Locations are in blue if you're looking at the top of the chart, and employees are in orange, right? So what it's saying, if you can see my cursor, what it's saying is this 5 to 9 range darn near doubled, both in employees and in locations. Meanwhile, employees are getting sucked out of here and locations are going down. All this to say, if there's too much to look at, remember this little red place right down here. The overall share of businesses out there, when you count them up, used to be 90% of businesses locations were under 10 employees. That has jumped to 94% now. So if I move this ahead, there we go. So it's these guys, the biggest increases came here in the very small end of things. So we thought maybe this was an anomaly. Maybe we got bad data from D&B and started doing digging. And boy, you'll find article after article that was written in this time. Google it yourself, and you'll find that, wow, lots of different sources are saying, wow, there's been an explosion in very small businesses and micro businesses and little guys. These are just samples of articles that are out there that you can read about this growth and where it came from. Here's another clue. We looked at total business applications. What's that? Well, when you open a business, you got to apply to open a business, right? With government. Here has been the trend of business applications. They aren't necessarily full-fledged businesses yet. They're applications. Up to, you see the natural trend that was going up through 2020, right? Guess what happened after that? Boom. Look at that incredible increase of applications. So this yet another clue that something major happened between 19 and 21 as far as small business goes. Not only that, if you take a look at the business applications, the government splits them into two kinds of business applications. They call it high propensity businesses and non-high propensity businesses. High propensity businesses here in the blue are ones that they think are going to grow into something bigger. They have employees. They're starting off really well. So that orange is all the kinds of businesses that are really, really small. Maybe it's somebody making teddy bears out of their garage, something like that. Really small guys. What was I going to say? Oh, so that's where a lot of people say, well, it's really, really small guys. So if we take away those orange, those non-high propensity businesses, and we just look at the blue, if we can, there we go, just at these guys, it still looks really, really good. So there's been an explosion of high propensity business. So we've taken off the chaff. Is that the right term? We've taken that off and just looked at the high propensity businesses, and boy, they're still there. They're still out there. They're still coming full force. So that is something that has changed in the last couple of years. Here's another reason it did. As kind of background, we saw that loans exploded in 2020. These are commercial and industry loans that happened. And yes, they include those whatever they were, the PPE type of loans, but it still affected things. It still got people to open businesses. Here's another thing, the federal funds effective rate, which is the rate that banks use to loan money to each other. It was going up, and then in 2020, it came way back down. Another indicator that it was ripe for this explosion of small businesses. So there was a question at one time, we talked a little bit about, because there's always the threat of a recession looming, right? So we've gotten the question before, what are some of the categories that thrive in times of economic uncertainty? And I wanted to spend just a little time giving you some clues of what we found. So what we did is we looked at those retail sales numbers in the past and looked at total retail sales numbers and went back to 2008 when the last big recession, a different kind of recession, but a recession nonetheless. Back in 2008, this is what overall retail sales did annually. And you'll see it dipped at its lowest in 2009. And it took 2 years to regain, to get above that 2008 level. All right. Now, every kind of business operated differently, had a different recovery time. For example, clothing stores, there's their dip in 2009, same as everybody else. And just like overall retail, it took 2 years to get back to over 2008. But the story's different when you look at jewelry stores. Again, dip in 2009, about the same in 2010. And it wasn't until 2014 that they got back on track. So that was a longer ramp time there. And here, this is a clip. This is me being lazy. This was a clip of a video we did about this very topic that you can go look at. The URLs down there. It's a long URL, but you can go to Burrell and find it. But these were the kinds of businesses that were more impacted by that back then. From a recession, took longer time to ramp back up to where they were. You see them on this side, and on this side, if I flip over here, were the ones that were less impacted, and they make sense. Grocery stores, liquor stores, restaurants, things like that. Things that people, still wanted to spend money on. Electronic shopping, not electronic stores, but electronic shopping didn't even have a bump down. It just kept growing. So here's what's been happening with digital share of local advertising. And when we talk about local advertising, we're looking at it from a business's point of view. Okay. So that means we're looking at what's being spent, not what's being gathered. But this is not the revenues from local media companies. This is being spent by local advertisers on some kind of digital. Back in 2019, 57% of all ad dollars spent by local businesses were spent somewhere digitally. That has changed over the years. 2020, it took a big old jump with the pandemic to 63%, crept to 66, 67% in 2022. So that means 2 out of every $3 being spent by a local advertiser or a local business in whole is being spent somewhere digitally. It could be digital ads, videos, OTT, digital audio, email, somewhere digitally. So that brings us to today. What's going on today? What's happening now that we've got that background? Well, we do a local, we call it a Burrell Business Barometer, where we ask the very same question of our SMB panel, those several hundred SMBs I talked about earlier. And we ask them the same question every 3 months to try and get a trend going, right? And there are 4 basic questions we ask. One is, over the past 6 months, do you think it's gotten easier or harder to sustain a small business? Here you see what they said in August of 2018. Here's what they said now. Of course, you'll see the big red dip there in 2020 and slowly kind of coming back up to a point now where it's been a little harder than it was last year. I'm just circling the Novembers, November 22, 21, and 20. We're sending out our next business barometer this February, to match this February. So now we've only got 7% said, hey, it's gotten easier in the past 6 months. Last year, it was double that, 14%. Okay, keep that in mind. Moving forward, wrong button. There we go. Now we asked them, okay, how would you characterize the current right now? What's the economic situation? Good, fair, poor? What do you say? This is what they said back then. This is what they say now. Again, your eye gets drawn to that big red thing. That's March 2020, where 73% said, ooh, it is poor. Now, 18% said it is good, as opposed to last year, where 22% said it was good and 4% said it was excellent. So compared to about a year ago, it's a little bit more sober, I guess you could say. Not as bad as it was earlier this year, but not as rosy as it was last year. Then we asked, okay, look forward. You told us about the past, present, now look into the future. During the next 6 months, with economic conditions for sustaining a small business, will they get worse or get better? That's what they said. Bam. 13% said it's going to get better. 40% said it's going to get worse. That's a little off of what it was in November of 2021. And finally, the last one of this series is, great. This is what you think is going to happen. This is your outlook. What about your marketing? What are you going to do about your marketing? You're going to increase it or decrease it? Why don't I go to that page? There you go. Over the next 6 months, my business will spend more or less on advertising than it did in the past 6 months. So the blue is more. So 19% said, yeah, I'm going to be spending more than I did in the last 6 months, as opposed to November of 2021, where they said 29% said they were going to spend more. So what does all of this mean? I know it's a lot of numbers, a lot of things. I think what it means is, I don't think there's anything wrong with right now. I think right now, in the way they're looking at things, is normal. I'm wondering if back in 21, the glasses were a little bit more rosy. So not that right now it's more miserable. I think back then it was more optimistic than it was, and it's kind of settled back to a norm. I mean, think about it. In 2021, we were coming out of it. We were coming out of a pandemic, and things are going to get better, right? They're going to get better. And it just took different businesses a little longer to get there. All right. Oh, this I wanted to show you. This is cool. Okay, we also asked, this is kind of the present, we asked, what kind of media are you using and what's effective? All right. Now, don't get on me about how do you determine effective. We let them determine effective. We just said effective. All right. Stick with me on that. So this is going to show you, there's nothing there yet. This is going to show you what kinds of media they are buying. That's the left hand. That's the x-axis. The higher up, a larger percentage are buying it. Going left to right is the effectiveness score, if they thought it was very or extremely effective. Here, let's just cut to the chase. Boom, there you go. So what you're seeing up in the top right, up there, I think I circled it there. Don't worry about those other circles right now. But up here is the high usage, a lot of people buying it, and high effectiveness. A lot of people saying, man, this is really effective. Social media, SEM, events, banner ads, and radio all scored really high, and a lot of people are using it, as opposed to our good friends down Yellow Pages. Not a lot of people buying it, and not a lot of people saying it's effective. I want you to keep your eye on these guys that I marked down here: the streaming audio, the cable, the OTT, and the broadcast TV. Because in our survey, not only are we asking local businesses, we're also asking agencies. They get their own thread, but we ask them this same question. And usually local agencies have a little bit more marketing expertise than local businesses do, right? There's more, they should, by all accounts. So they answered this question, and it looked like that. And what you see is all of those, I think I highlighted them. Yeah, it just takes a minute. But there, I'm pointing out all the ones that were down below before, all moved up to that top right-hand corner. OTT way up there in that top right-hand corner. Cable TV, events, and those things are still up in the top right. But now you've got these other things entering the mix. And I think that's important to realize, because that creates a giant kind of suction for local businesses to kind of follow suit. And I think that's what you see, a great interest in video and OTT and things like that. I'm not sure they know what to do with it yet, but certainly a great interest is there. Okay, now we're getting to the future. What is going to happen in the future? What's important to advertisers? And this is probably the most critical piece of this entire presentation. Actually, the second half of this piece is because the first we're going to just cover, just so everybody knows what we're seeing in local advertising as far as expenditures for 2023. We see local advertising growing 3.2%. And if you divide that in between things spent on digital and non-digital, digital formats will grow 7.7%. Non-digital formats will fall 5.9%. I should have said this at the beginning. The way we look at advertising numbers is very media focused. In other words, a newspaper that sells both a print product and online digital things, those are separated. The non-digital is the print newspaper. Their digital formats would be over in digital. Okay. So it's really by the media. We don't care who owns it. It's from the business's point of view. Did you spend on a print newspaper? Yes, that's a non-digital format. Did you spend online through the newspaper? Good for you. Anyway, that's online. Got it? All right. That's important when you look at stuff like this. Again, we won't go over this in detail. You get this. You can pore over it, ask me questions later. This is by different media, what's going to happen in 2023, or at least what, excuse me, the model says right now. There's that 3.2% kind of in the middle. You see everything to the right is growing ahead of that. We do see now, if anybody guffaws at the local TV number, this is without political. There's no political in here. And remember, it's local TV. It's no other asset except broadcasting. It's not OTT. It's not digital formats. It's local over OTA. Okay. Let's see. Here are the top spending. Here's all the overall numbers. So that was percentages, what you saw. Here are the actual dollars in U.S. local advertising expenditures 2022 to 2023. Things way over on the right are going to grow a lot. And that's where you see there's that video OTT, the number, the third thing from the right, I guess you could say. Targeted banners is where the majority of the social media is. It's split between that and OTT. So that's where that's hidden. If you're wondering where social media is on all that, it's mostly targeted banners and some OTT. So remember this, where we showed the digital share. So what do we think is going to happen in 2023? It's going to grow. It's going to get up to 70% because of this great interest in things like digital video. So there's going to be a broader usage. This is from our survey when we asked, what do you think you're going to use in 2023? This is what they say. This is not our Compass data. This is what our respondents said they would be using in 2023. That's in the dark blue there. And you see social media, events, online display. Do you remember that effectiveness grid? Looks a lot like the same things that were really, really effective, if you remember right. And there's printed directories down there. I'm not picking on printed directories, but just getting your head set as to where these things are. And here's a closer look at those 2023 plans. So what this is showing you is the percentage of local businesses who said they're in black, they're going to plan to increase or they're going to start buying this media. And in red, the ones that are planning to trim or eliminate this media in 2023. So the more black, the better. The more red, and the less so. So good news for social media, SEM, online banner display, events, a lot more people going to increase or start buying. Things like print could take a hit. There's 12% less are going to either eliminate or cut. Newspaper, only 5% said they're going to start to buy or increase. Same thing with magazines. So there's this general shift away, and that we've been seeing, the general shift away from print into digital things. So and here's the good stuff. Here's what do advertisers want? So if you've been sleeping, time to perk up. They want ROI. That's number one. They tell that to us all the time. They want to understand. They want to be proven that what they have bought worked. Prove that to me. Now that's a tall order for some folks out there, but That's what they want. Don't kill the messenger. They want that. That's the number one thing. So we did ask which of the following key metrics, when you talk about ROI, do you use to measure the success of your marketing? And this is what they said. We split it out between people who didn't have an ROI process, we asked, and people who did. This is what they said. New lead, what I think is interesting here is if you have an ROI, if you feel as a local advertiser, you have an ROI process. I know what marketing works. I know it. I have an ROI process. Look how it shifts, how the majority links it to sales volume. I mean, there's a good amount of new customers and leads, don't get me wrong. But ones that don't have an ROI process tend to look at new customers or leads or engagement. Less, I hesitate to say the word sophisticated, but it's new leads and customers are very important, don't get me wrong. But once somebody shifts to an ROI process, they understand that it's a lot less about getting a like on Facebook and more about the cash register ringing. And I think that kind of sophistication on a local advertiser's part is important to understand if you're selling them media. It's not going to be talking to them about how people are going to engage with them online is not as important as sales volume or new customers or leads. That's what they're telling us. So we asked, what causes you to buy from a local media company? Again, we're asking thousands of local businesses. What causes you to buy from a local media company? Top 4 answers on the board. Number 4, they think about my business, not theirs. Okay, fair. Number 3, they furnish a transparent marketing plan. I know what I'm getting. First of all, that little statement is loaded, right? It doesn't say they furnish transparent ad choices. It doesn't say they furnish some kind of plan. I'm doing something. They furnish a transparent marketing plan. And you're going to hear that M word a lot coming up here. Number 2, they have it's kind of a version of number 4. They have a partnership, not a vendor attitude, that we're in this together. And the number one thing that causes them to buy is that their rep has a high level of marketing expertise. Do you see what's not on this list? It's the plethora of ad types. There's nobody on this, and I'll show you a slide later that actually ranks that, and it comes down like number 8 or something. There are so many other things they want before coming into me with a catalog of stuff. Show me a good plan and show me you know what you're doing with marketing. Okay. Didn't mean to hammer that. I'm not yelling at anybody. And the other thing about marketing in general, as opposed to advertising, there's a lot of other clues that this is becoming more and more important. So if you're in ad sales, good for you. Start taking a marketing course if you haven't already. Because if we looked at the jobs over the past couple of years or couple decades, there were a lot more advertising jobs than marketing jobs back at the beginning of this century. As we move through, and about 2000, right after the recession they're about the same amount. What do you think happened as we move forward? Went like this. It flipped. So there are a lot more marketing jobs out there than advertising jobs. And if we blow up that little section right there on the right, it looks like this. So there's a big difference there's a 9% differential here on the left-hand side. And now I think it's double. Yeah, 18% differential. A lot more marketing jobs. Marketing is the forefront, not just going out and selling ads. So percent of local advertisers who we asked this was back in 2021, but it's still relevant. We asked local advertisers who hired, the marketing's important to them. They actually hired for marketing roles. 35% of them said they hired somebody for marketing. These are local businesses. 35% have hired somebody in-house to handle their marketing. And we asked, how does it compare I'm sorry, that got cut off, to hiring other positions or tasks? Is it harder, easier? What are we looking at? Some say it's easier, some say it's harder, some say it's no different. So it's not overly taxing, not overly easy. It's wound up being pretty even all the way across. And we asked the percentage of local advertisers who considered finding marketing candidates easy. Was it hard to find them? Guess what? 55% said, yeah, it was easy. So marketing's important and they feel they can find people. I think that's really important to understand if I'm going to out there to try and be a partner and try and be a marketer, that they think, yeah, I could probably get somebody to do this rather than me doing it. As a local market media rep, 40% of local advertisers claim there's a 50-50 chance or above of hiring marketing help in 2022. We're going to ask them that in this next spring survey and update that number. So the marketing skills that are in demand. So great, you're a marketer. You're going to be a marketer going into them to help with their marketing plan. What marketing skills are in demand? What do they want? If they're going to hire in marketing help, what are they looking for? They're looking for these things, and I covered up the first thing, right? So what you're seeing is the overall number. I'm blocking my own way, so I got to jump down to communication. 47% said, man, communication is a skill that's needed in this marketing role. 12% said it's the number one thing. That's how to read this. So what is this? What's this most important skill that they're looking for when they look for marketers and to hire marketers? Can you lock in your guesses? Social media marketing management. Now, I'm not saying this is the right list. I'm not saying it's in the right priority. I'm telling you, this is what they are saying they want. And that's when they think of marketing, what they need. Now, where are they going to solve this? If they're going to hire marketers, if they're not going to use media companies as marketers, and they're going to hire in, and they think it's pretty easy, and they need social media marketing management skills, who do you think they're going to turn to? I think there's a perfect answer in this group, because this is the group that has grown up. Not only it's passé to say they've grew up with the internet. Yeah, Gen Y did. These guys grew up with social. These guys are natural content creators. From the day they put one of these in their hand, they were creating content, good, bad, or other. It's been part of their DNA. So it would be natural for a local business, if they want to fulfill a marketing role and social media is at the top of it, guess where I'm going to turn? Keep that in mind. Oh, right. Here's that attributes. Back to that one about being a partner and all of that. Here's where I promised I would show you provides access to multiple methods of advertising. Yeah, it's down here. 70% said, yeah, that would be important. These other things are more important. We also asked them, well, does your local media company deliver on these things? This is the percentage that said they delivered. So the way to read this, 70% said, yeah, I need multiple methods of advertising. 53% said, yeah, my local media company gives me that. So if you kind of smash those two together to try and get an index, it looks like this. The higher the number, the better you're delivering on it. All right, because they're closer. So not in a local business's eyes, not really delivering on the things that are really, really important to them, delivering on things that aren't that important. In fact, the number one thing delivering on, 57%, has connections and networks within the local market. That's not as important as this other stuff. I just highlighted the top four. Okay, I know this is the second to last slide, so you're pay attention. Okay, finally, why we know they do want help and they do want the help of local media companies is because we asked this question: where did you place your ad? And this is 2020. Where did you place your? How did you place your ads? This is what they said. 76% said via email with a salesperson or an account rep. 55% in person. You get the idea. 55% over the phone. 43% through a self-service portal. We said that's great. Where would you prefer to buy? And I keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Preferred methods. And what you see here is a lot of in-person stuff. 82% prefer to interact in person with a person. Now, it could be via email rather than in person, but still, it is somebody else on the line. They want that marketing professional. So if you have advertising rep in your title, change it to marketing. See if you can do that. All right. And now the conclusion. See, we're really close. How am I doing at time? See? Beautiful. A couple slides to just wrap this up. So here is what I think some of the things you should take away. There's been an explosion of businesses since 2019, which means there's increased competition. Now, a lot of those businesses are very, very small. Got that. But they are also viable. Remember that high propensity business applications we saw. There was a good amount of them that blew up there that are coming online. I know they're small and they're going to have to advertise. It's that very, very long tail of advertising. And I know for a lot of media companies, you got to chop that tail off somewhere. Totally get it. But just recognize that that tail is very, very long. And there are a lot out there. 2020 taught businesses lessons on marketing. We didn't go into, in fact, somebody sent in a question. Hopefully we can get to it. I'll talk a little bit about some of the other lessons that were taught during the pandemic to local advertisers and what it means and how they're changing their marketing up. So customer retention strategies, accelerated digital expenditures. That means, remember when everything shut down, all that not everybody, but a lot of focus switched from, I want to get new customers to, man, I've got to retain the ones I have. I got to make sure they understand that I'm still open. I have curbside service, blah, blah, blah. They taught themselves content marketing, whether they knew it or not. And that's what we'll talk, if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about that. Local businesses may be wary of 2023, kind of like we all are. Is there going to be an R word? But they still want and they need to engage because they learned that from the pandemic when things were closed down. They understand they still need to engage, and advertising has developed into storytelling, into content marketing. Local businesses want and need marketing help. They want and need ROI. They want and need those transparent marketing plans. They want this more than, okay, here's my catalog of stuff. Tell me what you want. That's not what they want. I call that the vending machine approach. And if you take that approach when going to a business, guess what? You're going to be treated like a vending machine. That's it. And you've put the onus of the marketing plan back onto the local business owner. They want to engage with marketing experts. There are a couple different ways, shameless plugs, to connect with Burrell. Me and my boss, those are goofy little pictures of us, do a podcast every other week. On alternate weeks, we put out a video. That's what Speed was referring to at the beginning of all of this. You can find those on BurrellAssociates.com. And I believe, you can get this deck as PDF. You take this QR code. My boss makes me have you fill out a survey to tell you how horrible I was. If you fill that out, it's 5 questions. You get a link to, or you get this sent to you, the PDF of this presentation. And I think, ta-da, how'd I do?
Yeah.
You did phenomenal. And okay, the first thing I got to say is, Corey, all the way through this, because the last day and a half, we've been preaching about the marketing approach, that this is what our customers want from us. But it's just 2 yahoos, that have been telling them this. And now all of a sudden you're saying, no. This is what research is showing that the customer is telling us. I mean, it's awesome. Awesome stuff.
Two yahoos in matching vests, I might add.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
it's another shameless plug.
Yeah. Okay, Corey, so we've made some notes just off some questions, and we've had some questions come in. So
yeah, I've got questions here too.
We had a question earlier today about automotive forecast for 2023. And you kind of touched on a lot of different product categories, but as it relates to specifically to automotive, what are you all seeing?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Another shameless plug. We're putting together an auto report. We're putting it together right now. Probably come out in Q2. The early indicator, you saw the retail sales, and you don't have any auto dealers on the line, do you?
No.
Okay. Auto dealers really got full of themselves, right? In the last couple, they've always have been. But man, and you saw in those retail sales numbers, you saw why, right? They were having pretty darn good years, to a point. There was a guy who came to our conference who's an auto advertising expert This was last year. So last March 2021, if I can get 22, right? 22, and said, auto dealers don't need you. That's what they think. Because why? People are coming, people are buying. What do I need you for? Now, if you take a closer look, it isn't necessarily, yeah, they're having better years than they have before, but it isn't necessarily growing. So I think just like a lot of things, there's going to be a little bit of, oh, maybe we don't know everything. And there'll be a little bit of I don't think anybody's going to be coming crawling back to agencies or media companies saying, we're sorry, we messed up. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think you'll find dealers out there who are thinking, wow, this isn't, yeah, it's better than 2016, but it's not a whole lot better than 2021. And so that realization will start to kick in and give an area opportunity.
I know you're just getting ready to start this new survey, but one of the things we were talking about earlier, and actually Darren had an example of it, is, because of the lack of chips that were sitting out there, that there's this glut of inventory of 20s, 21s, 22s that are sitting in backlots all over the country. I've been doing a little private research when I talked to some of the folks out there, dealerships that I know, and I said, "You're not going to crush these cars, are you?" And the answer, of course, is no. But something I would love to know, and I think we all would, is, okay, are we going to get a glut of brand new 3-year-old cars that's going to be coming our way?
Yeah, it could. I've heard that same thing too. Yeah, it's a little early to tell, but we've been wondering that too. And what's going to happen is a franchise dealer essentially going to kind of change, right? What a franchise dealer is and how they sell cars. The other thing is that big R word too, because we know in a recession that those big ticket items are sometimes the ones that people don't spend a whole lot of money on. So I think the great tipping point is, are we going to go into a recession or not? And I'll tell you right now, to if anybody's what we think about that, really, you could ask everybody sitting in Burrell and you'll get a different answer right now. It's about 50-50 where there's one leading indicator that says, yeah, give it 5 months. We're in a recession. And I used to be the no recession guy. I'm like, no, we're okay. We're okay. I'm starting to tip this way. But I'm not giving up hope yet. Usually I am. Usually I'm the pessimistic Gen X person, but I'm 55% optimistic.
Okay, so potential for recession. We're hearing advertisers are considering hiring, filling marketing position roles.
Mm-hmm.
They want us, your research said that they need marketing expertise.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So does that not all support that if our sellers in the industry are approaching this as with marketing expertise and consultants versus I'm just peddling advertising, we have a chance to fill the role of their marketing expert doing more business with us without having to hire that position? Is that fair?
You got the point of the whole presentation.
Sometimes we get lucky.
Yeah, sometimes. But as I'm making notes and I'm listening, I'm thinking, hello, here we are.
That's obvious what they want, but we all understand the press. I mean, I grew up, if anybody doesn't know, I grew up inside newspapers. I was the advertising research person inside newspaper companies. And I love head sellers, and I understand the amount inside of a traditional media company, the great amount of pressure they're under.
Mm-hmm.
I always say this, and I hope I don't offend anybody. Ad sellers or reps will sell, they will do what you pay them to do. They'll do what you pay them to do. If you say, and then I'm going to talk newspaper talk for a minute, you got to go sell that double truck, which is a 2-page spread. Guess what they're going to go do? They're going to go sell the double truck. If you ask them to be a marketing consultant, they'll be that, but it's a different set of success factors rather than just selling an ad. And that's what a lot of media companies struggle with. Well, how do I incentivize that? Do you really want my guy to go out there and my radio rep and tell somebody they need a billboard?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of media companies have to get over. And the answer is yes. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Brian, and we're up against time a little bit,
Okay.
Corey, but Brian, I know we've had some questions on the text.
Yeah, no shocker, Corey. Hey, good to see you again. And,
Hey, sir.
Yeah, lots of questions coming in here. So let me just try to hit these in order as much as possible. So the
Okay.
first question. So
Rapid fire.
So should we as broadcast companies move away from radio on-air advertising solutions towards being focused primarily in the digital space?
No. What you should focus on is where does that all fit? You should focus on marketing. It doesn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater,
Right.
but to approach a question like that or an answer like that, and I'm not picking on whoever said this, do you see where that's already the ad product mindset of, oh, so I shouldn't sell this stuff, I should sell this stuff? My answer would be, no, sell it all. But what you're selling is the overall marketing plan. You're selling the consumer journey. How does a guy think that he wants a couch, shop for a couch, get off his derriere, go to a furniture store, buy a couch, bring the couch home, and then brag about the couch? How do we fit that entire thing into what we have? That's what you do.
Brian?
All right, I'm going to rapid fire. You asked for it. So
Oh,
if we go into a recession,
Oh boy. Okay.
what are the winning marketing messages?
Winning marketing messages in a recession. Well, I think it's a lot. I think in that we're going to tap a little bit into what happened. And I didn't talk enough about this because I had to cut something out, is the lessons that local businesses learned in COVID. And that was storytelling, content marketing. That's something that every media company is sitting on, is being able to go out there and help people tell their story. They want, in a time of crisis, everybody wants to tell their story. They don't know how, and they're not necessarily very good at it. And that's where somebody can pivot and help.
Okay, Brian, I know we're kind of up against time. We got to get to Stephanie. Corey, we could do this all day.
Absolutely.
What I guess I'd like your final thought as we head towards 10-Minute Trainer Network and your local marketing minute. What can everybody expect from you in the coming weeks and months ahead as it relates to what you all have that you're working on and coming up?
Sure. A lot of our efforts right now is along our conference that comes up in Miami in March. Plug for the conference. It's a local media conference where we bring together local media companies and have a lot of great speakers. Go check it out online. You can just Google Burrell Miami and you'll get a taste of it. But we have a local advertiser, our second local advertiser, or spring local advertiser surveys going out. If you're sitting in a media company and you want to be part of it, meaning you want to survey your advertisers, tell me. It's a whopping $750 to participate. So it's nothing, because we want the data. We want to be able to do this. That's what we get out of it. So, and you get your results of your advertisers. So those are our main focuses right now. Local advertiser survey, the auto report coming up, and the conference.
Okay,
Corey, I got to tell you, we are so excited to have you as a part of the network.
Yay.
Look forward to kicking it off on Monday. And the story you're telling us is so important, because we could guess or we could hear it straight from our customer.
Yeah, they're telling you, or they're telling us. If they're not telling you, they're telling me.
Yep.
Okay, give our best to Gordon. Corey, thank you very much. And
You
look
got
forward
it,
to seeing you
guys.
again soon.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you a lot.
Thank you.